Good day, viewers around the world. My name is Mark Godwin Iweajua, and you're welcome to our Friday edition of our news update. This is Global Africa. You are welcome. You are welcome. Joining me from Toronto, Canada, is my coordinator and friend, Sir George Chukwu. Sir George Chukwu, welcome to our Friday World Affairs.
Morning, Massive Mark, and good morning, viewers from around the world. We want to welcome you to this Friday international news, and it's going to be a fantastic one where we give you the updates about things happening around the world and things that will interest you.
Nice.
Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, George. Thank you for coming. Yes, the days go too fast. You know, we just had Wednesday and now we have Friday. So yes, Friday International News Update, World Affairs. George, a lot is happening. It's good you're coming in now so that we can hear that good news coming from Winnipeg. Is that Winnipeg in Canada? That architect, Emeka Nnamdi. Emeka Nnamdi's story. Do you have it?
Emeka Nnamdi.
Yes, Emeka Nnamdi. Do you have that? So let's see a clip. Viewers, let's see something from Canada and we'll come back.
Dozens gathered in the south end of Winnipeg on this sunny Saturday morning for an intimate unveiling. For the first time in Manitoba, a park is being named after a Nigerian Canadian.
And now,
the moment you've all been waiting for.
Please, everybody, Emeka! Put your hands together for Emeka.
This is Emeka Nnamdi, an architect who has done work in Nigeria and the United States. And much closer to home, Nnamdi played a key role in the creation and design of the Bridgewater neighborhood in Winnipeg's South End.
I've been working on Bridgewater for 20 years, from the initial inception of the concept, and I didn't do any of it expecting this as one of the outcomes of it. So I'm quite humbled by this recognition.
Nnamdi's family did not leave his side throughout the commemoration ceremony, which was hosted by Afrikaans and brought...
George, tell us more. Yes, that's Emeka Nnamdi. Tell us what's...
Yes, he's a fantastic young man from Igbo land. He's an architect and he's worked between US and Canada, has done great things. So the Winnipeg, the community decided to name a park after him. And that is really good news for us, being recognized for good things that we're doing here in Canada. So it is a fantastic one. And I am so happy to hear that. One of these days I will have to visit to go and take some pictures and relax in the park in Winnipeg.
Nice. Yes, do that for us. You could also stay, probably make a small video cast from that end.
Yeah. That's right. That would be a great one.
So we can see the whole view. It's beautiful. You know, George, why we bring this to the fore, first of all, is because we really do have this good news come around our community in the diaspora. Most times they just, the news aren't much of such delightful thing you want to hear, but we really love when we hear this, and welcoming in also BD Nana from Lagos, Nigeria. BD, can you hear us? Can you see us?
Yes, I hear you very well. Yes, I can hear you and I can see you. And Sir George, good morning all.
Good morning.
Good morning, BD. BD, you just came to brighten up our day. Look at Canada. Canada is so bright, and you just come to put a little sunshine to Canada now.
Yes,
Welcome.
I can see that. Thank you. Viewers, good to have you again today. Let's do it like always.
Let's do that always. BD, we were just talking about, George gave us some summary of what happened in Canada last week with the architect, a Nigerian Canadian architect called Emeka Nnamdi. And we were saying, Nnamdi, and we were saying It's an impressive thing to hear when one of us do those things out here in the diaspora. So how do you feel, Bidi? How do you feel hearing? I know you've had the news.
Yeah, I had the news. I felt good when I had that, and Nigerians are always doing that. You know, each time these things happen, I think our leaders will think and talk to themselves, because it has over the years shown that Nigerians are very creative and talented people, and they always uh, uh, they, that talent, those experience, those good things they have don't come out when they are in Nigeria. It's actually when they leave Nigeria, you find out that these people are very talented, very intelligent, very bright, and can do a lot of things. Now, it's actually a simple thing to our leaders, because if they are really thinking very well, they will think about their leadership skills, their leadership patterns, to ask themselves question: why is it that our people are not doing well at home, but whenever they leave the shores of Nigeria, they become the best in the world, not just in Africa, they will become the best in the world. But because their kind of leader pattern is that they don't take record. They just do, they just leave, they don't take record, because what do record do to us? Record helps you to assess what you've done and remind you what you would do. Because it shows us that our people don't take record, they just exist. Well, congratulations, Emeka and Nadi. That's Nigerians for you. They are great people.
Thank you, BD. Thank you. But one thing that is not great at the moment in Nigeria, let's talk about that before we go into international news, is this whole issue of installment, the emirship situation. The court will nullify, the state will adjourn, the court will nullify. I mean, it has become a little bit childish. George, are you following this emir thing? As of this morning, we had the court says Sanusi, the popular former CBN governor that was reinstated, they say he should go out this morning. It's embarrassing. It's also looking very childish. George, what do you hear about that whole thing?
Well, the problem that we have in Nigeria is the corruption that is in our country, in the three arms of government, especially in the judiciary, is surfacing, because you see that we don't have any concretized way of dealing with issues, especially in our country, Nigeria. Now, you can ask yourself, why is it that one arm of the government or the judiciary will say something and another will say another thing? Are they not symmetrically connected together? Are they not working together? Are they not looking in the same direction together? So this is exactly what you don't see in the surface, is the money that is actually passing hands to making these judges to pronounce judgment that they know that it is wrong. That is one area of it. No, I mean, we talk about Nigeria. Look at the United States of America, that people would have respected and say, well, hey, listen, these people are neutral. The the judges are neutral, and maybe the Supreme Court will be neutral. The same thing is happening there. So that is the state of affairs of the world today. Nothing is actually concretized. Things are not the way they're supposed to be. How can you have two cousins just going through this publicly and internationally? It is so disgraceful. And we have a president in Nigeria, we have a governor in Nigeria of Kano, who cannot bring elders together to sit down and just mediate between this situation, and don't bring your dirty laundry outside. It is deplorable and it's despicable. And I just hate to even want to think about this whole entire thing, because it doesn't make any sense to me.
It really doesn't make any sense at this point. Initially, when we had that installment, we were saying, okay. Then we had the other man now had a different part of this monarch. One was at Nasarawa, the other one was at Kanu, and they were just going. When this does something, the other one will revert it. PD, give us what's this whole childish emirship tussle that we're seeing in Kanu?
You see, But what you are saying in Kano is just a reflection of what Nigerian is. And that is what you get in a society where we make efforts to build individuals and not institutions. This is as a result of collapse of institutions. Because if you have an institution, there must be a procedure, and anybody that comes will follow that procedure. But we don't build institutions in Nigeria. What we build is individual. And what everyone does in Nigeria is we fight for relevancy. And what do we use that relevancy to do? To intimidate, witch hunt, and control people. That's exactly what we do in Nigeria. So what you're seeing in Kano, where they have, incited two cousins to be fighting each other. One will ask, where are their elders? Now, somebody said in one of my events, said, which elders? In Nigeria, people don't respect elders again because of what? The elders we have in Nigeria, the elders that lie. When I was growing up, when things get tough, you say, call the elders, because, they will come and say the truth, no matter who is involved. But it's no longer like that. Now, what is happening in here is another thing to show you that what APC government has come to do in Nigeria. It's purely an influence of APC that you're seeing in Kano State. Do you understand? Now, the other time when it was Ganduje removed Saraki, and Saraki packed his bag and left quietly. Now, the new governor came and wanted to restore him back. So, every Nigerian was expecting that Bayero would left quietly the way Saraki left, which he did initially. But Ganduje, because
the way Sanusi left.
Yes. Left initially. But because Ganduje is, he has come to grow. One thing in Nigeria, sorry, I'm taking time, but just give me that. One thing a lot of Nigerians is that I tell people, when you want to become an emperor in your state or in your region, consider your people. Tinubu became an emperor in Southwest, and it worked for him because of the people of Southwest, the kind of people they are. Oshiomhole tried it in Benin. It did not work for him because of the people of Benin, who they are. This person, Wike is trying it in the River State, and it's finding it difficult to get it. That the people would if you consider
Okay, we're losing you. We're losing you, but you've made
actually what Ganduje is trying to do in Kano with the influx of the power, the administration in power. Because anyhow you look at it, what is
okay, BD, thank you very much. Somehow we've lost your audio, but we had the initial things you said. Thank you so much for that insight. Viewers, you're tuned in to Friday, our international update, and let's go further, George. One of the major news on the burner in almost all media homes as of this morning is Biden and Trump's gearing up for their first televised clash. That will be next Thursday, 9 p.m. GMT. George, so what are we expected to see? They say it's going to be a showdown, and everybody's coming prepared. The last debate we knew was in 2020, and it was actually it had some tension, filled up issues. But at this point, I think everybody's matured now, and they will come out more with their points, the agenda, than tensions and allegations. George, what do you say?
Well, before the 2020 debate was between ex-President Trump and Biden. But this time around, it's going to be, the President Biden, the father of a felon, and also a felon himself, Trump felon, a criminal felon. So this is the state of affairs that you see happening live, So the America is slowly disintegrating in our own eyes. because of, the right and the left. And that's what we're seeing. We don't even know who is who anymore, and why is it that, in a country like America, a criminal who has been found, criminally liable for all manner of 34 charges is still able to run for the president of America. But in many states of America, if you get convicted, with even a small crime, you cannot vote. You will lose your vote. And this is the difference between the haves and the have-nots, between the white and the other races in America. So this is what you see in life happening, that a criminal who has been found guilty and other charges are pending over his head, and then still people are clamoring for him. The question you're going to ask yourself: if Trump is convicted of 34 charges, if Obama had committed one crime, where would he be today?
Okay.
Go figure. Because this is the state that we did. Go figure. That's the country that we are in, and this is the world that we are living in these days. So, well, anyway, in that news actually, Trump finally got his way, because they did a coin tussle on Thursday, and then Biden will sit at the right hand of the podium, and Trump will have the last say after the interview, which actually gave him opportunity, because when he was before his conviction, he was lamenting on Truth Social. Why is it that his defense attorneys could not have the last say? So now he will have the last say as a felon, running for the president of America.
Thank you, George, for this. George, they were supposed to be three. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was supposed to be there, but last minute, the organizers of the program, CNN, said he wasn't invited. So it would give these two people the atmosphere and space to express themselves. Now, George, what do you think could be some key questions that will be asked? What do you think?
Well, there will be general questions regarding economy, which since Biden took place, we have seen quite a few number of what I call turbulence. Though that systematically, the economy of the United States have stabilized to a greater degree. You have one of the lowest unemployment right now compared to before. You have a lot of growth in the financial industry. So it's going to be basically. And then also another major issue that is going to be, people will be talking about, or they will be discussing, will be the immigration, which is one of the things that is really causing a lot of problems in the United States of America between the Republicans and the Democrats. So, and especially when it comes to their neighbors, especially Mexico and some of these other countries. These are things that are happening because of the catastocracy type of governments that are happening in some of these third world countries, where the economy, the economy of the country and the welfare of the country, the financial welfare of the country is in the hands of the 1%ers. And because the general public is having issues, they want to migrate to a greener pasture area. And America becomes that particular paradise for them. So many of them are rushing there from around the world, actually, because of this, because of the economy in the United States of America. So that's going to be another major issue. Then also maybe questions will be asked regarding, criminality. I don't know if they're going to bring about Trump's conviction and Biden's son's conviction, and the way America looks at it. And then also I think questions might be asked about the state of affairs of the Supreme Court, where you have a lot of them now having some issues, especially Thomas, who has been found to have some underhanded happenings in his affairs, where some issues emerged with his good friend who sponsors his trips and gives him money and all that kinds of a billionaire actually, but also influences his decision in the Supreme Court. Also, his wife, Justice Thomas, wife, who was very influential during the election period. So these are things that are touching the lives of people in America, and they're going to ask specific questions concerning those. And also international affairs, they're going to discuss it.
Maybe abortion too will come up.
Abortion will be one of that major
Yes.
issue, which
Abortion
is
will be a major issue.
a major one, as a matter of fact, which a lot of states are having issues with. So, and the point is that when you come to that, what you are going to see on the podium is not actually a conviction about a particular subject, but what you're going to hear is you're going to hear Trump tell people what he thinks they want to hear, but you're going to hear Biden stand his ground on what his conviction is regarding these areas. For instance, abortion. He believes Trump is dilly-dallying regarding whether to say yes to abortion or to say let women choose. But Biden will say it is the choice of the women. So these are the things that you're going to see. So on that day, there's going to be a lot of bombshells, because what's going to happen is Biden will come after Trump about the criminal charge, about the felony. But Trump will come back and hit back about his son and all kinds of things. You know how Trump is. So it's going to be an interesting debate.
And yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed. We're going to be live also, George, that day. It will be 1 a.m. GMT, Europe time. And that will be midnight. That will be 9 p.m. your time. So, but it will be a great one. They are comparing it to the numbers. It's being compared to the Super Bowl numbers on views, TV, radio, TV, all the media homes. So I think every attention will be there on that day. So that's it, viewers. This is it. We are tuned in. You are tuned into our Friday Global World Affairs, and we're talking Trump-Biden debate coming next Thursday. And yes, it will be a big evening in terms of one of the candidates has been convicted, and the other one's son has also been convicted. So two situations, very interesting situations, we'll be seeing playing out on Thursday, 9 p.m. GMT. So, George, thank you very much. George, you did that so well. Yes, good update. What we'll do is, like I said, we'll make sure we are here also following up live and probably giving back to the audience. George, let's come to some other stories also. We hope our Russian Moscow colleague will join us. But before he does, let's look into Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea has been going through this wildfire and very devastating, landslide. Papua New Guinea. Now, this morning, the Australian government said they will increase that's some clip of what people are going through. The whole community has been wiped out. So Australia has promised an addition of about 1.3 aid to Papua New Guinea's reconstruction after that deadly landslide that took away a region. So Papua New Guinea, the Australian government announced yesterday that they will add to the aid and help in the reconstruction efforts. So, George, this is what we'll be seeing now. Like you said, the weather condition of the world has changed. So we'll be seeing some real devastating climate effects on people, on the environment, on nations. Is that not so?
Well, this is what you call the sign of the times that we are in. We are coming to the end of this age, per se, not the end of the world, but the end of this age, whether we like it or not. Even a blind, deaf, and dumb individual will tell you that they know that something catastrophic is about to take place. The earth is crying out. The earth is crying out because of injustice. The earth is crying out because of corruption. The earth is crying out because of lack of love. And even our Savior said this, that, the love of many will wax cold. This is what you're seeing. And, because when the earth is crying out like this because of the evil that is being perpetrated around the world, it's simply telling you that the end of the days are coming. The end of this age or
Mhm,
this
mhm.
dispensation is coming. So
It's
this is
coming.
what we are seeing. We're not being religious. Science is even confirming the whole entire thing. Now, whether we like it or not, there is what you call the effects of the global warming.
Warm. Okay.
We are seeing it live. It's not like you're telling, like in North America here and in Canada, between Canada and US, for the past 5 days, the heat has been so bad that people are warned to go inside. What's happening in Mecca is actually being transported here, where more than thousands of people have died in Mecca, in actuality, because of the heat wave. And you're seeing the effects happening here in North America. So, I mean, I don't know what to say, but this has been predicted and it is happening in our own eyes. But individually, I would say, people, please walk in love towards your neighbor. Let's forget about this skin color, religion, and all those things. Let's dwell together and look in the same direction together. Because if we're not, we're going to lose it all. The earth is crying out. This is what you're seeing. Before you know it, the earth will divide in two. They're even predicting that Africa is going to be divided, that there's going to come, some kind of division that will separate certain parts of Africa from another, and the sea will come in between. So we're seeing it live, whether we
We're
like
seeing
it
it
or not.
live.
That's it.
Yes.
It is here.
What's happening in Papua New Guinea? What happened last month is also, like you said, replicating in most parts of the world. We're following the Hajj thing you talked about, Saudi Arabia and Mecca. People so far, the number this morning says 1,220. 1,220 people, and we saw videos of people falling by the wayside, falling by, right there on the prayer ground. So it's terrible, George. It's really terrible. Earth is mourning. Earth is groaning. Earth is
Groaning,
weeping.
birth
Yes,
pangs. Yes.
people are going through a lot. And we hope it doesn't. We just pray that we don't get into more and more of such, because the other day somebody was predicting and saying the earth will be coming to an end. I think he said this week, something like that.
I mean, now those we call them dreamers. We call them dreamers. We call them dreamers. Somebody will be thinking about something and go to get drunk or hallucinating and telling you it's gonna happen. So many have come and gone. It is not. It's not. We know that we are close to the end, but it's not the end yet.
Yes. They just predict. So sometimes they look at events and they want to say, this will happen, this will go off, and sometimes it doesn't go exactly like they say. It doesn't even
most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't.
It doesn't happen at all. Okay.
We see them come and go.
George,
Yes.
here in Europe, NATO is coming to it's arranging itself by October. I think it's October. Yes, a new leadership will take hold of NATO, and it's Mark Rutte. That's the outgoing Prime Minister of Netherlands. The outgoing Prime Minister of Netherlands will become NATO's Secretary General. Now that man is a hardliner, like we know. Those of us that follow him here, he's also a very principled man. He goes sometimes. Do you know, George? He goes to office.
He's a modest guy.
Very modest.
He goes on bicycle. Yes, modest.
Yes, very modest.
And this is he's supposed to be. He actually is supposed to be an example to what we are going through in our country, where the people are dying, just like people are dying in Mecca. People are dying of hunger in Nigeria. But the government, this current government, in the first year that they have come in, all they know what to do is to fatten their pockets and fatten, the conditions. But this man can be riding on the bicycle to go to work. And then we're talking about, why can't our president get on airpiece and travel? Airpiece is as good as any other. This man will get in any flight. We saw the prime ministers getting in flights to travel to other countries. But you know, a country like Nigeria, where people are dying of hunger, people don't have any job, inflation is almost 34% and higher than that. Now we're talking about buying 2 jets, one for the for the president and the other one for the vice. We just spent billions of dollars, renovating or building a house for the vice president. Those, the Senate and the House of Representatives, they just, got themselves brand new SUVs. These are the things we're talking about. When you see a man like this, very soon he will be the, Secretary General for NATO. But this man will go to work on bicycle. You go to regular restaurant and eat, So this is what you're seeing between Africa and those that they are even depending on for AIDS. And yet, when you give them AIDS, what do they do with it?
Thank you. So that's it.
90 billion to go to Hajj, and people are dying there.
Mike Rutte, the outgoing Prime Minister of Netherlands, is set to become NATO's Secretary General. And we're also looking at how he will confront some of the situations on ground. And one of such is the Russia-Ukraine situation. What we heard about his opinion, even as of now, is that he will probably want to do everything possible to align NATO with Ukraine. That's what we heard. So that means that it might get tougher on his decisions with Russia. So I don't know how it's going to be there, but this is what we're hearing. So the current Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, his tenure ends October 1st, and this moderate man, liberal Mike Rutte, will take over. Thank you, George. Thank you for synchronizing it with the Nigerian African situation. It's a terrible thing, but the African leadership have a long way to go before they get to this level. A long way. We have to take away greed first. Greed.
You know what is happening. What is happening. What is really happening is that a parent will struggle, might not even go to school, and struggle to make it, and don't want the children to go through the same struggles that they have done. So this is what we're talking about when it comes to governance. North America, Europe, they are well advanced, ahead of Africa. But we are trying to clamor and want to be like them, but will not learn the lessons or learn from the lessons that they have, actually gone through to come to where they are. So we are still dancing around and glorifying ourselves and flattening ourselves, individual pockets and all that kind of stuff, and not the welfare of the people. And there will come a time when there will be a revolution in many African countries where they will say, thus far, no further. We are not going to allow this to happen, because you cannot see your son dying when you cannot feed them, and somebody is there talking about buying a private jet, 2 private jets. So one day somebody will rise up and say, if I die, I will die, but this must change. And that's what's coming to Africa, especially Nigeria, very soon, if care is not taken. The government, you listen very carefully. Pay attention to the needs of the people, or else there come a day when you'll be fighting for your own life and running away from that country. We want one Nigeria, but you must govern us civilly, with civility and with fairness and justice and equity.
Thank you, George. George, let's go on a small break. We'll be back. Thank you, viewers.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. Looking for the right answers to hard and sometimes confusing global events? Look no further. SSM's team brings unique perspectives from across the globe. Our in-depth independent reporting is to make you better understand the world as we evolve.
Yes, better understand the world as we evolve. George, you're welcome. George, there's something interesting happening in Africa now. Africans are beginning to realize that these border closures, this closing ourselves from movements inside Africa is not helping us in any way. So yesterday, the Kenyan government has introduced a free electronic travel authorization for Ghanaians. Ghanaians have this opportunity to freely come to Kenya, freely move around through an electronic kind of authorization device. So it's a welcoming approach to traveling, making ease of traveling inside Africa, because actually outside in Europe, America, and other parts of the world, they move freely. Here in Europe, one pass takes you all over the whole European country. So I don't see why we lock ourselves and do all this to ourselves. So Kenya has introduced a free electronic travel authorization for Ghanaian travelers. It's mainly targeted for Ghana. So George, what do you think? Do you think it should go around, not just Ghana?
I think it should be all over Africa. But you have to have an understanding with each country that you're dealing with, because you don't want to open it up in such a way that it becomes an issue. Now with Kenya and Ghana, they reached a consensus, and now it's going to cost you only $30 US, and it's going to take only 2 days for approval for you to stay there for up to 90 days. 90 days. And then after that, you'll be free to go back. And then, but each time that you do come to in each of these countries, you have to pay another additional $30 US, to do it. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, because this is exactly what you mentioned. I remember when I was with you in Italy, I was able to go to France. I was able to go to England, in the UK, and there was not a problem. I came from France to you on a train, if you remember. You picked me up from Milan when I arrived there. So this is, they understand these things and the economic advantages of having it. So what they have done is they have, just basically made Africa to hate one another and make it even more stringent for one country to visit another country, because they know the economic advantage of such a thing. If somebody can actually be able to travel from Ghana to Kenya and look at the economic and the advantages that are there, they can bring businesses, and these people are making money for the government. And these, and when you come with your own money, you're going to stay in a hotel, you visit all restaurants, you will do all kinds of things and buy goods and services. So these are, it helps the economy of the nation. So I am so happy that Kenya is forward in doing this, and that other African countries need to follow suit.
Other African countries need to follow suit. Thank you, George. So those of you from Ghana, those of you from Kenya, you see now that traveling has been made easy. There's a visa-free regime now, agreement between both countries, and let's take advantage of it. George, another
thing I want to talk about is this.
Yes.
Ghana is is very, very forward when it comes to diplomacy.
Yes, straight up.
So what you see now is, you see the countries like Kenya, countries like Ghana, the countries like Rwanda. They are the leaders of today Africa, like it or not. Why is that? It's simply because they are not paying attention to the narratives of our what we call the people that amalgamated us in the past, per se. So now you see them making positive quality decisions that will favor the people and favor the country. And Nigeria need to wake up if they want to continue to be called the giant of Africa.
Africa. Nice. Okay, George, good one. We want to see more. Let more border agreements between countries open up more in Africa, enhance business, and so many things. It helps. There are more than disadvantage. Okay, George, we're currently waiting for our Moscow coordinator, but who we have here is also our big brother from Lagos, Nigeria, Ogbeni Olayinka Raji. I see that you've been trying to log in, but the network has been bouncing. Can you hear us, Raji? Okay, I think he's still having
Good morning.
Good morning. So that means you're still in. You're still in.
Because in my village here now, we are on 6G. You guys on 5G. So at least there's a conflict in the technology.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. Conflict in the technology. Yes. But it's even good that you can access StreamYard. With you accessing StreamYard in the village, that means it's impressive. Because
good morning, Sir George.
The network we use is a little bit
Welcome.
Okay, let's move on, guys. We're not waiting for Moscow, Russia to come with the update from his end, but there is something strange happening. Raji might help us. Russian President Vladimir Putin has increased his diplomatic activity recently with his neighboring country. We saw him visit North Korea, and as we talk now, he's in Vietnam. And we know that these are all mounting up to him having his own allies too. Okay, very good. Godwin is here. Godwin is here. Raji is here. Right on time, Godwin. Godwin, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are. And Raji is also there. So we just started the topic on update from the other end. Russian President Vladimir Putin has been on some real strong diplomatic visits. He just finished with North Korea, and now he's in Vietnam. He has vowed to build deeper ties with these countries. And what do you say, Godwin? Let's hear what's happening, because we see the pictures, we see the videos. That's Vladimir Putin in North Korea with the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un. And remember that in 2000, July 2000, he visited, Kim Jong-un's father visited Russia. And also Russia visited the following year. So I think that relationship is brewing and is going well. That's a picture of Kim Jong-un's father when he visited Vladimir Putin. So let's hear from you, Godwin, while the pictures flow. What's this new movement? North Korea, Vietnam, and maybe Turkey might be the next point of visit. Who knows?
Okay, so President Putin is on a tour, or let's call it global tour, to visit countries that are close to him. These are countries that have had historical ties. And by the way, Kim Jong-un has come to Russia, not just his father. He too has come to Russia. They have a lot of things in common. The first is that they have mutual respect for each other. They are assisting each other's economy. That was reduced significantly when the United Nations Security Council voted against North Korea in terms of nuclear proliferation. And Russia, respected that, because Russia is against nuclear proliferation, even though it would like to be close to North Korea, but it was against that. But with the US exiting the nuclear treaties and the escalation of the conflict between the East and the West, obviously Russia isn't going to be that harsh with North Korea or support any decision which is significantly against North Korea's interest. Meanwhile, North Korea and Vietnam are together against the use of extra market instruments, or especially financial instruments, to compete on the global stage through sanctions and artificially limiting another economy at their expense for your own companies to do well or to supply your own resources. So they both agree, and Vietnam is known for using its bamboo diplomacy, which is this year alone, not only Putin has visited Xi Jinping, Biden, at least the administration have been represented there. So they have a lot in common. Also, North Korea is supplying, allegedly, helping Russia in its special military operation. And I think it's a quid quo pro relationship. They must be getting something back in return. So basically, I think it's just a new dawn in terms of multipolarity, and with the increased heightened interest in BRICS organization, it's important to reach out to potential new members. By the way, President Putin talked about NATO expanding to Asia. And the truth is that it's also putting a lot of Asian countries on their heels. There's a heightened fear that it might be next.
Thank you very much, Godwin. You came on time for this. George and Raji, George, one of the things we were following is that the Vladimir Putin being in North Korea said it's also to galvanize and look for weapons from Pyongyang, source for weapons. And this was added to the discussion while they were both together. George, but all of this, sourcing for weapons, building ties, all for future occurrences, war occurrences, does this mean that this war we're going to probably live through this war all through our lifetime? Because NATO is preparing on this end. These people are preparing. This morning, Putin is in Vietnam, more to the war issue. George, what's your take on this?
Well, my take on it is that there is a checks and balances, seeming checks and balances. Birds of the same feather will flock together as you see it happening. So it is to the advantage of Russia and then North Korea if they come together, because of the system of government and their ideology, international ideology in dealing diplomatically with other nations. So it is a good thing for them, to come together to see what they can, put together. Of course, I know that he said allegedly, North Korea is supplying weapons to Russia. Well, I mean, nobody can just pinpointedly say yes because you've seen the contract signed or weapons, moving up and down. But it's more likely to be true than not, and that's the reason why, possibly the reason for the visitation, so that they can intensify the economic ties between the two nations. But one of the things that we have to understand also, based on what is happening around the world, is being rumored about, China and Taiwan, and then all the tensions that are around those areas. So some of these bullying countries that want to suppress the other smaller countries and want to take over, in spite of whatever the nation itself is saying, is part of the reason why a country like America is very well needed, because without them, they will just, like sharks, will swallow smaller countries. And so we have to be very careful. The weapons are being passed from one area to another, and then we see what is happening in China with all the neighboring countries, with India, everybody.
We will come to the South China Sea tension and that discussion. I want us to just finish on this one. So, Raji, yes, good. Your network, your voice is good, but we can't see your face much. Anyway, Raji, we know that we know these ties have been. I mean, Russia, North Korea, Vietnam. These countries have been friends for years now. We saw even in 2020 when the father, Putin, as a young man, also visited the father of this boy that is there now. Now, diplomatic relationship is good. Nations bonding together is good, but why do nations bond together mainly for war? Why is it friendship for circumstances? Why is it not just bilateral business, and make it something that adds progress to the life of both nations? Why is it that it's only when we hear rumors of warmongering, more war situation, then they all begin to visit and create these their ties? Raji, can you hear me?
Hello. Okay. Can I go on?
Yes, I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, I want to look at it at 2 points. Of Putin's movement, you should know that Russia is a chess playing country, and chess is actually some simulation of war. So I can see Russia moving its knights and its bishops around while keeping its castle safe. So I all the moves they are making are actually chess moves. Then coming to ammunitions, I'm sure Russia wouldn't be going around looking for ammunition if the meddlesome US had not gotten NATO to want to pull Ukraine into its army. Because Russia is not interested in war, but they are for peace. But when there's war, they will be for war. And
Russia
therefore,
is not
whatever
interested in war.
Russia is not interested. It is
I also want
meddlesome US that is causing the strife and tribulations across the world.
Add to that, Godwin, add to it.
Because
let me finish. Are you done, Raji?
This is so laughable, man.
Yeah, sir.
Are you done, Raji?
Go, Raji.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Just 1 point. Just one regarding American economy depends on war. They have a military industrial complex that fosters war everywhere they can. So yes, I stop at that. So
I want to
Godwin,
say
over to you.
that everyone has different sense of humor. What might be funny to one may not be funny to another. But the truth is that NATO expanded closer to Russia's border. That got Russia, tensed up and reacted. And also there were killing of Russians in Donbass, which was reported widely in the UN. UN report, and also there were Minsk 1 and Minsk 2 agreement that were not heeded. There was the coup d'etat, the Maidan revolution. It is no doubt that there's no single decade that has gone in recent history that NATO has not been involved in war. So NATO is not the check. Rather, Russia is the check and balance. Russia has fought much less wars. Russia is not the number of wars that have been fought and the scale of the wars that have been fought. NATO has fought more. So it's not, if we say comparatively to NATO, Russia does not like war at all. It will be on point because compared to the number and the scale of wars, it has fought much less. Now, North Korea is one of the largest producers of 155 millimeter artillery shells, and they produce in scale of millions. This is one of the most important tools in counter-offensive operations at the front. So that is one of the places where North Korea could be of strategic importance, which is leading a little bit of credence to the allegations. Let us look at it. There's no, and by the way, Mark said, why don't we, countries just meet for peace and all that thing? Because the world operates on military diplomacy and leverage. For example, in this conflict, I've said it so many times on air, Russia gains. Russia is the fastest growing advanced economy according to World Bank as of today. US gains because Europe is forced to buy LNG from US, which is 30% more expensive rather than the cheap energy from Russia. So US gains, Russia gains. The only countries I can't see gaining from this is the EU and Ukraine, where Ukraine is suffering significantly more in terms of being fully dependent on Western aid and all the industry dead. And basically, the young people are dying in droves while the population have reduced due to mass emigration. So it's a very, very huge agony for Ukrainian people.
Okay.
Yes, let me just respond to that for a minute, because you're comparing Russia, a country, and NATO, which is involved in a number of other countries. So that is, you cannot compare that. Because Russia is a country.
They're minority.
It's not, Russia is a country, okay? So decisions that not Russia make will only benefit Russia as a country, while NATO have members all around. So there is a whole lot of consideration when it comes to individual countries or countries that are with NATO when it comes to decision making whether what should be there or not. So that comparison should be zeroed out completely, because those are not a good comparison. On the other way around, Russia is, Russia as it is right now. The point is they're going to North Korea. Yeah, they have ballistic missiles, they have all these things. But at the end of the day, this is exactly what is happening with Nigeria and Niger Republic. When, our president wanted to go and cut off a lot of things that are happening there. There is such, intimate relationship between Russia and Ukraine. And I would believe that Russia, as a senior brother to Ukraine, ought to be more compassionate in the way they deal with this situation. If they don't want to, come and show muscles and then go get weapons to clear this, their brothers. They shared borders. They share they share a whole lot of things. They were one country before. So these are the things we have to take in consideration when we are making all these allegations or analogies or whatever. These two countries are supposed to be one country, though they are now divided. I believe that if there is compassion in the leaders, they ought to be, start thinking of ways of mediating and coming to a common level of understanding that will actually, benefit the two. Recently, what's his name? President Putin came out and making demands, that we want to amalgamate the countries that we have conquered. Why can't this man just step back and be compassionate towards the brothers? Why can't they stop this war? Pride, arrogancy, and ego is all involved. Like it or not, that's what it is. End of the story.
And on that note,
sorry, just a little bit of correction. In terms of NATO. US spent 68% of its annual budget of NATO's annual budget, making NATO de facto US. It is not an equal union of nations. US controls NATO and has the strongest, by far the strongest influence. So when I say NATO, I mean actually US. And because the US both has the say in what NATO does. True. Yeah, so it's a very
they give more, and this is exactly what I believe that Russia ought to do with Ukraine. Sit down and talk with them and let them become allies together, rather than just fighting and killing one another. It's just almost like if you had so you can sit down and negotiate. Yes, but why did you go in there and occupying these countries and then insisting that the countries must be given to them? You gotta be careful when
you guys have both pulled the plug.
You see,
you guys have both pulled the plug. We have to go, guys. Please, I'm sorry.
All right.
Godwin, next time we'll probably have you earlier. But what the words you said echoes George. George is being very human. George is coming out. Without all these diplomatic talk, straight up. That's what George has just done. But on that note, guys, thank you. We both pulled the plug. Friday we'll be here. We'll be also on board following the debate on Thursday. Those of you that want to make it, you're free to join SSM Network. And we wish Vladimir Putin all the best as he goes around hobnobbing with friends and neighbors. It's all for good. We want a united world, a peaceful world. We're humans at the end of the day and not enemies. At the end of the day, we are one people under God. So on this note, George, thank you. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you, Raji.
Right.
Hope to see you back in your station next week. And Godwin, thank you for coming. Thank you also, Godwin, for doing a lot of things for the community and for the network. See you all. Ciao.
Yes.
Ciao.